a responsibility to awaken to the truth about Canada's history and its treatment of Indigenous peoples of this land. And one of the elders that I was talking to a while back reminded me to acknowledge and celebrate the resurgence of Indigenous culture. And this last week, Thursday to be specific, we celebrated the second anniversary of the National Ribbon Skirt Day. For many, the making and wearing of ribbon skirts is about receiving an important cultural practice that was lost during the Indian residential school era. And it brings the sacred back to Indigenous spaces. And one of the purposes of ceremonial clothing, including ribbon skirts, is to connect the wearer to culture, tradition, and even the earth itself. We here at Calgary Unitarians make our home on the land of Mohkinstsis, or the city of Calgary. As Treaty 7 people, we are just beginning to uphold and live into the promises made by those who came before us. And this treaty brings us into relationship with people of the Blackfoot Confederacy, and those are the Siksika, the Piikani, and the Kainai First Nations, as well as the Dene First Nation band, the Tsuut'ina, and the three bands of the Stoney Nakoda First Nation, the Bearspaw, Chiniki, and Goodstoney. Mohkinstsis, the Blackfoot name for the place where the city of Calgary is located, is also home to Otipemisiwak, the Métis government of the Métis Nation within Alberta Districts 5 and 6. May we endeavor to be responsible treaty people. And now, let us prepare our hearts and our minds for worship.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today.
Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one.
Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You
You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us. And the world will live as one.
Blake believed that imagination is not a state, it is human existence itself. To see a world in a grain of sand and heaven in a wildflower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. We light our chalice today to remind ourselves that we each are the light that is needed in the world. And this community, we need each other to keep the spark of light alive in our grief and in our delight in the world. And now, please lift your voices in the song as we sing our opening hymn, number 354. We laugh, we cry.
We laugh, we cry, we live, we die, we dance, we sing our song. We need to feel there's something here to which we can belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. But most of all, we need close friends we can call our very own. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a need to be together. We have our hearts to give. We have our thoughts to receive, and we believe that sharing is an answer. A child is born among us, and we feel a special glow. We see time's endless journey as we watch the baby grow. We thrill to hear imagination freely running wild. We dedicate our minds and hearts to the spirit of this child, and we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a time to be together, and with the grace of age we share the wonder of youth, and we believe that growing is an answer. Our lives are full of wonder, and our time is very brief. The death of one among us fills us all with pain and grief. But as we live, so shall we die, and when our lives are done, the memories we shared with friends, they will linger on, and we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a place to be together.
we seek to put an end to all the waste of human strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sheila McMaster, Director of Religious Education, and my pronouns are she and her and hers. And I'm so happy to see everyone today. And I was surprised that we had some of the Beatles here in the house this morning. They sounded so good, so good. And so today we're talking about if we could wave a magic wand and wish for a better world, what would that look like? And so today the children and youth are exploring that question, what things do they think would make a better world? And they're exploring the joy with things like bubbles and balloons and all the fun things that they can think of today. And sometimes our journey takes an unexpected turn. And so sometimes life gets a little bit hard, or something comes up that we feel sad about, and I thought, what do we do then? And so, of course, I have a story for all of you. Yay! And it's called The Heart and the Bottle by Oliver Jeffers. Once there was a girl, much like any other, whose head was filled with all the curiosities of the world, and with thoughts of stars, and with wonder at the sea. She took delight in finding new things. Until one day, she found an empty chair. Feeling unsure, the girl thought the best thing was to put her heart in a safe place, just for the time being. So she put it in a bottle that she hung around her neck. And that seemed to fix things at first. Although in truth, nothing was the same. She forgot about the stars and stopped taking notice of the sea. She was no longer filled with all the curiosities of the world and actually didn't take much notice of anything other than how heavy and awkward the bottle had become. But at least her heart was safe. And it might never have occurred to the girl what she had to do had she not met someone smaller and still curious about the world. There was a time when the girl would have known how to answer her, but not now, not without her heart. And it was right at that moment she decided to get it back out of the bottle. But she didn't know how. She couldn't remember. And nothing seemed to work. The bottle couldn't be broken. It just bounced and rolled right down to the sea. But there it occurred to someone smaller and still curious about the world that she might know a way. And it just so happened she did. And the heart was put back where it came from. And the chair wasn't so empty anymore. But the bottle was. The end. And so this week's challenge is to be kind to yourself, to be still when you need to be still, and rest when you need to rest. Because otherwise, like me, the universe finds a way to make you be still and be sick for a couple weeks and sit in the same chair and stare at the same view, sometimes grumpily, sometimes with gratitude. But mostly you just have to sit there and get better. And so I've slowed down and I've been resting. And today, as the earth itself is covered in snow, it is also resting. But just remember that soon the springtime will come. And once you are rested and once you are ready, just remember that life is magic and you are the magician. And now please join me as we sing our Flame of Light downstairs to our children and youth.
May your mind be open to new learning. May your lips bring truth into the words. May your heart know love and your hands do the work of justice as you go your way.
As you go your way.
As you
in
go your
peace.
way.
As you go your way in peace.
May your mind be open to new learning. May your lips bring truth into the world. May your heart know love and your hands do the work of justice as you go your way.
As you go your way
As you
in
go
peace.
your
As
way
you
in
go your way in peace.
Will the ushers please prepare to take offering once the music begins? The purpose of this church is to encourage all who gather here to grow more generous in spirit and action. This is the great end of the world's faith traditions, to bring the human being closer to the divine by acts of creation and compassion. We now take the offering that allows us to exercise that all-important generosity of spirit, an offering that will support this self-sustaining church and its many ministries. Through our Sunday collection, Calgary Unitarians support a variety of outside causes. We encourage you always to use an envelope to identify yourself and to indicate how you would like your contribution to be designated. This month, our funds will go to the Flaming Chalice International, or FCI for short. From Canada, Reverend Fulgence works through FCI to organize support for refugees, to help them pursue education, start small businesses, receive emergency aid, and he has also initiated community projects to benefit people in Burundi. Flaming Chalice International seeks to touch and transform lives, helping people to make a transition toward greater autonomy. The gifts of the congregation will be most gratefully received. Guests this morning, we are grateful for your presence. And this morning, so feel free to let the basket pass you by.
It's only a paper moon sailing over a cardboard sea, but it wouldn't be make-believe if you believed in me. Yes, it's only a canvas sky hanging over a muslin tree, but it wouldn't be make-believe if you believed in me. Without your love, it's a honky-tonk parade. Without your love, it's a melody played in a penny arcade. It's a Barnum and Bailey's world, just as phony as it can be, but it wouldn't believed in me. Without your love, it's a honky-tonk parade. Without your love, it's a melody played in a penny arcade. It's a Barnum and Bailey world, just as phony as it can be. But it wouldn't be make-believe if you believed in me. But it wouldn't be make-believe if you believed in me.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. That was delightful. Absolutely delightful. Here I am. Oh, yes, I'm supposed to do this. You know, I know we're barely into the year 2024, and I don't know about you, I'm kind of tiptoeing into it. You know, the last 3 years feels like it's been a crazy ride. The turn of the calendar isn't something that I particularly pay attention to in terms of resolutions and new patterns. September is usually that time for me. But the turn of the calendar, that act of putting up 12 months of a new year, is kind of like an opportunity to take time to reflect. It's like a marker in time. And I have to say, I look more put together than I feel, because usually at December, the last few years, I feel like I've come careening to the end of November, and my hair is all out to here, and I've got smoke coming out of my ears, and my eyes kind of look glazed, and I'm barely able to breathe. I mean, 2020. There's COVID, right? Then there's the impeachment trials across the border. There was the killing of George Floyd. You all said goodbye to Reverend Deborah. 2021 was no better. It brought with us a whole other issue related to COVID, and that was the vaccinations. Can you remember that? Oh my goodness. The January 6th riots in the United States, the process around adopting the Canadian Unitarian Council's 8th principle, and the divisiveness that that created in some of our congregations. And let's not forget the very sad discovery of the first of many unmarked burial sites, the first one found in Kamloops. And if I remember correctly, that was the beginning of Jane's cancer journey. 2022 brought with it the death of Queen Elizabeth, and that was the end of an era for many of us. Myself, I only knew the one queen. Many of us in the room have that with us. We had the war on Ukraine by Russia. COVID and Omicron continued to dominate the news. In 2023, well, COVID was still with us, wasn't it? Then we had the Hamas attack on Israel, something that still continues to be present. And you went on a roller coaster ride in terms of a ministerial search. You thought you geared up and you had all this promise and nothing. And you were ready to start a new church year without a minister. And somehow, just as it did 10 years ago when I came and did my internship, magic, imagination came together, and here we are together. So it's no wonder that I want to tiptoe into this year. Seriously. And already, 7 days into this year, we've had to absorb some news that none of us wanted to hear, and many of us expected that this day would come. Jane's retirement, and the news that she is ending her cancer journey soon. There are those among you here who have been with Jane through her whole 13 years with this congregation. And there's others of you who have just come in today and going, I had no idea this was going on in this congregation. We are all over the map. I just want to remind you that after the service today and next week, Catherine Burwash and I will be holding a listening circle for those of you that would like a place to talk about your grief and your sadness. Just a small container. But we've also got some other things happening here in this congregation. There's some aesthetic renovations that are going to be happening soon. Look for new flooring. Just saying. New office. It's coming. There's going to be a new art mural project that's happening on 16th Avenue with an Indigenous artist. That is going to be super cool. And at the same time, we are entering into a process to decide whether or not we want to stay together on a more permanent basis. Right now, the decision is in your hands. So there's a lot going on. I just want to take a moment. How are you feeling about this new year? Shout it out. Roller coaster. I've got 2 of you on roller coasters. How about over here? Attempting to put your heart in a bottle. You got to protect it, right? There's so much going on. How about others? Excited. Yeah, because you're starting with us in a whole new journey. And we are so glad you are with us. We really are. And we're glad you're with us. How about others? Grieving or breathing? Breathing. Pardon? Excited to have Chris with us, yes. So I have to tell you, we come here to make meaning. So how do we imagine a better world in the middle of all of this? And just like the child in that story, it's easy to shut down and close ourselves off to the world and to each other, to close our hearts and keep them contained and safe, because the grief and the sadness, heck, emotion of any kind can be too much to handle, and sometimes it's just easier to close down. I don't know about you, but when I'm kind of feeling in that place, it can be hard to imagine a better world, a world where there's no need for hunger or greed. And I have found that at some times, just like in the story, it can be possible to lose our capacity to choose our experiences. Viktor Frankl was an Austrian psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor who founded a school of psychotherapy that describes a search for life's meaning as the central human motivational force. He lived through the worst of the German concentration camps, and as you can imagine, he witnessed the worst in humanity there. His book, Man's Search for Meaning, tells of his story and his theories. If you haven't read it, I do encourage you to do so. It's a pivotal book for me And it is so because it helped me understand my own place in the world. In the worst of what he lived through, he came to the realization that the one thing that no one could ever take away from a person was the ability to choose our response to the world. When I realized that, well, that changed everything for me. And it's like that here in congregational life. We get to imagine and put into practice a better way of being in the world, one that invites transformation, authenticity, vulnerability, connection. It's only when we can hold the world as it actually is, the grief and the sadness, with the delight and the joy in the world, that imagination can actually get busy. I'm going to invite you on a journey with me this year, and I'm going to suggest 3 relatively small things for us to engage in as I wave my magic wand. The first wave of my magic wand would be that each one of us find a way to ground ourselves in our bodies so that we can develop the capacity to listen to our bodies and what they need. When we understand that we can make different choices in terms of our response, we can choose to open our hearts and not shut down. We can connect with other people when we do that. Now, the vagus nerve, or the soul nerve, as Resmaa Menakem calls it, it's a nerve that actually exists in our body, and he calls it the soul nerve, and you'll know why in a moment, because it helps us to regulate our emotions. Our soul nerve is the unifying organ of our nervous system, and it reaches into most of our body, including our large and small intestines, our kidneys, our pancreas, our spleen, our stomach, and our liver, our heart, and our lungs, and our throat. And get this, this is what I love about this. This is the nerve where we get to experience love and compassion, fear and grief and dread and sadness, loneliness, all of those things that make us human. And so as we move into our meditation time, I'm going to give you a tool, and it's called a body scan. And it's just one of the many tools that are available to help us connect with our bodies, to ground ourselves, to slow ourselves down, to recognize when our bodies are becoming reactive. And when we begin to recognize those signals in our bodies, that's when we can choose another response. So I'm going to lead you through what this might look like, and then you're going to do it for about 2 minutes, okay? So you start by closing your eyes and focusing on your breath. And you can notice the sensation of your breath rising in your lungs as you slowly inhale and exhale. And bring your awareness to a part of your body that you want to start with. Because I can be a linear thinker, I typically start at the top of my head. But you could start with your left foot. Breathe into whatever spot you decided. Become aware of any tension, any feeling, tightness, discomfort. And then when you breathe out, move on to another part of your body. You might have some emotion that comes up. Bless it and release it and breathe it out. Your mind might want to wander. That's okay. When you notice it has wandered, just bring it back to the last place you left off in your body. Don't judge yourself. We'll sit here together, breathing together, scanning our bodies together in silence for about 2 minutes. And after that, you'll hear our hymn number 395, I Know This Rose Will Open. If you've done enough with the body scan, feel free to sing along. If you want that song to just bring you back into awareness, into this place, allow that to happen as well. So now, let's breathe together. Let's scan together.
Oh, this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open.
In this tender place, at the juncture of releasing the holidays and embarking on a new calendar year, many of us entering it with trepidation, uncertainty, some with joy and delight. These are tender times indeed. I know that there are those among us this morning who woke up with a sorrow that is so heavy that they need the help of community to carry it. And we light this candle. In acknowledgement. And there are those among us who woke up with a joy at starting a new position, at starting a new calendar year, that it simply must be shared in community. And so we light this candle to celebrate with you. We also light a candle this morning for all of the children in the world who are in hospital or living in war-torn areas. I looked this morning, 114 distinct armed conflicts around the world, from Cyprus to Egypt, Nigeria to Sudan, Mexico and Colombia and Ukraine and Armenia, just to name a few. And so we light this third candle, sending our love, our hope, and our desire for peace to those children. In this spiritual community where we find meaning, where our joys are amplified and our sorrows lessened, we take time to acknowledge mutual support. So if you have a joy or sorrow that you would like to light one of our candles on the side or put a pebble into our water communion water, please come forward now. In your joys and in your sorrows, know that you are not alone. So my second wave of my magic wand, you can imagine it here in my hand. It's all glittery, and every time I do this, it just showers glitter all over you. It's a tool to help us imagine creating a better world, and it's a very small act, and it is such a hard act for so many of us to do. myself included. And that is to ask for help. The last thing that I like to do is to ask for help and to have others be there for me. I'd much rather be the one doing the giving, doing the support, as opposed to being on the receiving end. How many of you kind of fit into this category with me? Yeah, it's a hard one. Little trick though, you know all of us people who like to give? If somebody doesn't receive, we have nobody to give to. Doesn't that piss you off, Soria? But I have found that life is not a simple, straightforward line that takes us from one point to the other. It's messy. It's chaotic. And I'm going to stumble and fall at times, and I know that you are going to stumble and fall at times. You're going to do it. You're going to do it. You in the back, you too. We all do it at one point or another. We come into life as complicated beings, and it's made even more complicated by the grief and the sorrow and the joy and all the delights and the things that happen when we live in a world that is chaotic. It took another person in the story to help the child release their heart from the glass bottle. Did you notice that? There will come a time when, in the words of Albert Schweitzer, in everyone's life at some time, our inner fire goes out. It is then burst into flame by an encounter with another human being. We should all be thankful for those people who rekindle the inner spirit. Ram Dass says it another way. We're all just walking each other home. When you think about it, we're all just helping each other make it through this one life that we have. Yes, we need to know who we are and what grounds us. And then there are things that we can only learn by being in community. We can only learn it by having another person mirror that back to us. And so we need to be with people to experience life so that we can know ourselves more fully, to become holy beings. You can spell that H-O-L-Y or W-H-O-L-L-Y. Take your pick. And here's where it gets tricky. Because we're not on this journey alone, and that means to be fully ourselves, we need to be able to open our hearts to one another. As human beings, we all need places of safety, of sanctuary, of rest. Places where we stand at the end of the day when our feet and our bodies are sore, so that we can walk each other home. We need each other to see us through such times, to hold us, to comfort us, to sing with us. So I'm going to ask you to take a huge risk. I'm going to invite you to stand, and we're going to sing our hymn number 1002 from our Teal hymnal, Comfort Me. Here's the trick, though. The words are super simple. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. You can do that, right? And then the second one is sing with me. And I'm going to get into the singing in a moment. But what I want you to do is I want you to rise as you're willing. And don't face me. Turn and face each other and sing the song to each other. It's a risk because you might have to actually look at somebody in the eye this way. Ooh, that can be scary in a service. But let's try it. Okay, are you willing? Let's rise. Turn and face each other.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me,
Sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me,
oh my soul.
comfort me, comfort me,
Comfort me, oh my soul.
comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
Thank you for risking with me. I saw tears. I saw joy. I saw delight. So I've waved my magic wand, and I've invited us all into 2 small practices this year as a community. You can bet I'll be coming back and visiting them and revisiting them. The first wave of my magic wand, I invited us all into the possibility of choosing different responses to what happens in the world and in our lives. A response that has us respond with an open heart, filled with the thoughts of the stars and wonders of the sea. The second wave of my magic wand invites us to allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to allow another's light to rekindle our own when our light dims. The third wave of my magic wand invites us into the possibility of creating a different quote-unquote we. And here's where I'm going with this. Follow me, okay? When a community of people who choose to respond to the world with open hearts and with love at their core, that group of people opens themselves up to being vulnerable, and those 2 things bring with it the possibility of transformation and healing. This is where I'm getting to the singing now. I promised. I got there. Back in 2013, there was a journal published by the Frontiers of Neuroscience that showed when choirs sing together, their hearts synchronize with one another. That the beating of our hearts become one. People who meditate together and chant together also experience that same thing. People who hear the same story have the same experiences. That happens as well. And when that happens, I think it allows for an opening of our very being to synchronize with the heartbeat of every person in this room, every person in this community, every person in the city of Calgary, reaching out to all the beings of the earth and to the very core of Earth herself. Thump, thump. Thump, thump. Thump, thump. Can you feel it? We are one heart beating. One heart beating in the embrace of the universe. One that holds love at its very core. And when we can feel our hearts beating as one, where am I? we begin the process of opening our minds and our conscience to the other and to different realities. We become awake to how easy it is to split mind, body, soul, neighbor from neighbor. And therefore, we can begin to live our lives with presence and connection. We become aware of our present environment. So I leave you with the words of Archbishop Desmond Tutu, and he says, "We are made for goodness. We are made for love. We are made for friendliness. We are made for togetherness. We are made for all the beautiful things that you and I know. We are made to tell the world that there are no outsiders. All are welcome. Black, white, red, yellow, rich, poor, educated and not. Male, female, gay, straight, trans, two-spirit. We all belong to this family, this human family, God's family." You know, I've changed my mind. Instead of tiptoeing into this new year, I think we should all embrace it. Let's journey together in all that 2024 has to offer. Together with one heart, one community, one love. We can make it through this year together. So let's hope that when we reach the end of 2024, we look at each other with smoke coming out of our ears, our hair all frazzled and our eyes kind of glazed, careening to a stop together saying, "Wow, what a ride. We felt it all, and we are one. Together, we make it so." Amen. Namaste. Blessed be.
For our final hymn today, we're going to sing "Lean on Me." Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Just call on me, brother, if you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you just call me, call me, call me, call me, call me, call me, call me.
I send you out today with these words by Starhawk. We have reason to hope. The forces of destruction seem great, but against them we have our power to choose. Our human will and our imagination, our courage, our passion, and our willingness to act and to love. We are of the world and of each other, and the power within us is a great, if not invincible power. Though we can be hurt, we can heal. Though each of us can be destroyed, within us is the tool, and there is still time to choose that power.
Yes, and again in the words of William Blake, in your own heart you bear your own heaven and earth, and all you behold is there within in your imagination. Now I invite you to extend your arm out in front of you and palm out, ready to catch a spark of light. And when we say these words, we invite you to reach out and say these words: another world is possible. Another world is possible. Say these words when you rise each day and when you lay your head down at night. Teach them to your children and your family. Recite them to yourself.
Let's all turn, wave to the people on Zoom. And after the postlude, feel free to join us in coffee in Wickenden, and there's a listening circle here 15 minutes after the end of this service.
I come to sing a song about hope. In spite of everything ridiculous and sad, though I'm beyond belief depressed, confused, and mad, well, I got dressed. I underestimated how much that would take. I didn't break until right now. I sing of hope and don't know how. So maybe I can substitute strength, because I'm strong enough. I got through lots of things I didn't think I could. And so did you. I know that's true. And so we sing a song about hope. Though I can't guarantee there's something real behind it, I have to try to show my daughters I can find it. And so today, when life is crazy and impossible to bear, it must be there. Fear never wins. That's what I hope. See, I said hope. The work begins. You're welcome. Christian's a great leader. 100%. Thank you.
This was great playing, Gavin.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you sing. Ooh, a bonus.
Thanks, right? Singing is a bonus. Have we met before?
I'm Pierrette.
Pierrette.
Yeah, I'm a soprano.
Hello.
I fake it. Well, I don't read music well, so soprano is the easiest thing.
Yeah, because you're often, not always,
We have the
but
melody.
often singing the melody.
Yeah,
How do you spell your name?
like Pierre,
Pierrette.
P-I-E-R-R-E-T-T-E.
Perfect. I'm very visual, and so that helps. And so,
It's not an easy name, but my parents didn't ask me, you know. it's,
right, like that
People
happened
call
really
me-
early in your life, and you didn't have a
I
say.
was 1 day old when I was baptized. Hey, imagine if I was